Back in the 70s, it was actually thought that any turtle that was here in the northern waters were so-called lost waifs. They were just turtles that made a mistake. But by the end of the 70s, where we were finding them every single year, the lost waif theory just wasn't holding any water in my mind, because nature isn't that. If nature's predictable, it's not something that's lost. It's got to be something else had to be going on. New Jersey, all the way up into the Gulf of Maine. These are very important waters for sea turtles in their juvenile stages. All these turtles move north with the warming water, feed, and then they go back south again. The geography of the Cape really is the only barrier as sea turtles move south. So they're swimming along, and all of a sudden they bump into the Cape, and they go, oh, and then they start swimming east, and they bump into the Cape again, and then they're sort of stuck. Temperature starts to affect them when it's 65 degrees, and if you're trying to do that and it's windy and the currents and everything, you're just not going to move very fast. It may take you days, and the temperature's getting colder and colder. And then when you get a real cold episode, they go to the bottom, and they'll wait that out 3 or 4 days, and then they come back up again. But it never gets better, and then they're waiting, and then the winds blows them ashore. We've had turtles with an internal body temperature of 35 degrees, and they've survived. If we weren't there, they could either wash back out or they would freeze. Well, when we started the program in the 80s, the Ridley had not really started its recovery. The population had crashed from 40,000 nesting turtles to less than 500. At a critically low population, every individual counts. By the early 90s, you could really start to see some of the changes and some of the success stories. Here's a species that was really on the verge of extinction, especially the Ridley. It's really a pretty impressive conservation victory for everybody that's worked on sea turtle conservation, starting back in the 60s and 70s. Sea turtles wouldn't be here if it weren't for everybody working so hard to protect them.